So I've probably waited my entire tech career to get an orange iPhone, and it was also the launch of my new kid, which means this is even more special, kind of getting them both in the same year. So many of you have messaged me about the launch of this color saying, this is the official Karl Conrad edition. I wanted to take some time to get used to the phone, to set it up in my orange theme, to give it all of its glory. So this is my review of the 17 Pro Max Karl Conrad edition. So we'll obviously start off with the design and the colorways first. You can grab them in 3 this year, which I know a lot of people have said that they're not really pro colors, they're not neutral. You can get it obviously Cosmic Orange, which is the launch spec, my favorite one, the silver/white, as well as the deep blue. I actually like that Apple is introducing some funky colors, but it is the two-tone effect, which kind of really throws me off, especially when the light hits this glass panel. It looks more like light pastel. I love the aluminum, I love the shade of this. If Apple needs like a designer for figuring out the proper spec of like orange, hire me. That's all I'll say on that. The two-tone finish is needed because now they've switched back to aluminum from titanium. That's mostly to do with thermal management. The phone has gotten quite chunkier for a Pro model. The battery has gotten better, which I'll get to in a second. If we bring up my older 16 Pro Max, you can actually see a big difference in the height. It's thicker, it's slightly wider, and of course heavier, and it also has a new design in the fact that it is quite rounded now on the edges for that aluminum unibody design because of this glass back. So we need that for obviously MagSafe, for wireless charging. It gives it, I don't want to say like a cheap look, but it would be nicer if it was a bit more color matched in my opinion. And to kind of address all the like Scratchgate rumors, or I guess I've seen so many things on Reddit, all the phones in like the Apple stores, they're completely mashed up. People are very rough on their phones for demo models. I was on the fence about that, but after using it for a while, I can say that the anodization, especially around this little camera plateau, we can actually zoom up here. There is a bit of orange that has chipped off. Aluminum is naturally a lot softer than glass, and you can see right on that really sharp edge there, a bit of wear and tear. I even have a little nick on a corner, and I can only imagine as this phone gets older than a month, if I use it for a year, especially without a case, how this will get really, really damaged and really dinged up. So I typically say, if you like to rock a phone like naked, at least grab some like minimal protection. That's actually where this full like color matched case comes in. This is from ESR. It's actually great because it's all completely uniform. It actually protects the little plateau there. It's one solid color of orange, which once again, orange expert you're talking to, it's a very nice shade. It also has this nice little camera guard, which once again protects those 3 sensors, and it has this little flip up. So if you are watching content in either landscape or portrait, it serves that purpose to prop up the phone, which is really nice. And the second thing that I will say, I have installed a little screen protector on it. Once again, 10, 15 bucks. Protect your expensive phone. I know that it has Ceramic Shield 2, which is 3 times better scratch resistance, but because these phones have gotten more expensive, especially the base Pro model, like not the Pro Max, that's $100 more. And the fact that you can now get these in 2 terabytes, which will run you over $2,000, or if you're paying like Canadian pesos, $3,000, which is absolutely mental. Just protect your device. The last thing that you want is to scratch your phone after getting it for a couple weeks. Kind of breaks your soul on the inside. So that is the overall design. Like I mentioned, another reason for the aluminum is to help with heat management. We also have gotten thicker to now finally have a vapor chamber in the Pro model. So that really helps with a lot of heat dissipation. I've seen some other great content using like thermal cameras to actually see that heat dissipation at work. I will say after using this, for the past month, it does not feel hot to the hand, or it doesn't feel like warm. The heat really seems to dissipate, which obviously helps with performance. You can keep up frame rates, whether you're gaming, whether you're doing hardcore like video editing, which this phone can obviously do. When I initially set this up in my like first week of using it, I noticed it did get hot, but after a quick little software update, I noticed that kind of went away. There have also been a couple glitches, more so with iOS 26. Some have been fixed, some have not been. There are some things that I love about liquid glass, like the clear icons, the uniformity, but sometimes I find even when I'm scrolling, especially with really colorful backgrounds, and if they're multicolor, it gets really distracting, but that's just, once again, personal opinion. Maybe I need to get used to it more, but you know, I am a fan of things like updating, for example, the photos into the main library. That has been a welcome change, but it's kind of like a hit or miss for me. Let me know your thoughts down below. The screen, which I won't even mention or talk about too much because it's pretty much the same as the 16 Pro Max. It's still 6.9 inches. It has gotten slightly brighter, so the peak nit brightness is now up to 3000. It's great. Bezels are skinny. It is slightly more anti-reflective, so I think Apple said that it has 7 layers of anti-reflective coating. Still not as good as the Samsung like S25 Ultra as an example. It's gotten better at cutting them down, but I think it once again can improve more for next year. For the actual performance though, like I said, this is the best iPhone naturally that they've made. It has the new chip, the A19 Pro, coupled with that heat management. I think this will be the best experience that you're gonna get. But once again, the performance on my 16 Pro Max was also really, really good. If I didn't have them side by side, if I didn't compare benchmarks, I honestly, for what I do, and I'd consider myself like a pro user, I'm on my device a lot, very, very similar. But honestly, like the biggest improvement for me this year has been the battery life. So typically, I mentioned I'm a pro user. So say for example, on the weekend, I was on my phone for 8 hours and 45 minutes. I'm typically over that 7-hour mark for screen on time. I'm on my device a lot. I use it to make content. I found that on my 16 Pro Max, the phone would die by the end of the day. I could never last the full one. Obviously, I used it for a full year. The battery health wasn't the greatest. This has 20% more battery than the 16 Pro Max, which I think is a huge, huge upgrade. That comes in 2 parts, the phone being slightly thicker, as well as having the SIM slot removed. So this is fully eSIM. It's fine, but that improvement for me has been a game changer. It's also one of the big reasons why I can't recommend the iPhone Air for a lot of people. I'll leave my full judgment. I made a separate video, but at the end, I'll kind of compare models, which I think is best. But for that reason alone, the Air for me doesn't work. And the second big upgrade I would say for me is the camera. Once again, use it a lot as a creator. The telephoto now has been improved. So now we have 48 megapixel fusion cameras across all 3. So that's the main, the ultra wide, as well as the telephoto. Now you can theoretically get 8 different focal ranges, so that ranges from 0.5, the macro, all the way up to 8x. The zoom has gotten a lot more impressive. As I kind of took this out, I've been taking photos, naturally in my day-to-day use. Obviously, color reproduction is really good. iPhone video is still completely unmatched. Their codecs are really good, their color science is really good. For most of the social stuff, just uploading straight from camera, that's what most people do anyway. It looks really, really good. We now have the benefit of being able to shoot in RAW. As an example, we've switched to it right now. You have to create a bit of a rig on it. You do need to connect it to an SSD, but we have the option when you bring that footage into Final Cut, you can change things like ISO, white balance. So if you are like a pro video user, really great feature. Once again, so many clips now are just being recorded on iPhone. Movies are shot on iPhone. It's really great to have that extra flexibility. Another welcome upgrade, surprisingly for me, has actually been the 18 megapixel center stage camera, which is across the entire iPhone 17 lineup, so just not on the Pros, but the fact that you can now change the orientation because the sensor is now like square. You can choose to shoot between portrait, landscape, ultra wide without having to change the orientation on your phone. Welcome upgrade, like that is super cool. It also seems to be a lot more stable, but if you're already coming from say like the 16 Pro, which has the same sensors for the main and the ultra wide, you know what camera you're gonna get. You know the dynamic range is gonna be great. You know that the performance is gonna be good. Like I said, the big change to the 17 Pro is that telephoto and the battery, especially for like daily use. Those are the 2 things that you'll notice the most. If you don't care about those things and say you want like a slimmer phone, you don't care about the thickness, I think that's the reason why the iPhone Air came out. When I initially held this, I was super impressed. Obviously, you have those sacrifices. It's super thin. The battery definitely is not anywhere near as good. That's why they sell their own little battery pack separately. The fact that you only have 1 camera, but if you are the person that just uses your phone, I guess like a regular person, not a pro user, you just use it kind of, normally. You just point and shoot for your camera. You only need that 1 focal range. I think the iPhone Air is great. Like as a real techie, I would love to see pro features like great battery life. One day, maybe we might get that in an iPhone Air body as battery tech gets better. If Apple finally decides to adapt like a silicon carbon battery and just makes it a lot better. But honestly, most people, the iPhone 17, like the base model, this is still the best option to get. The fact that we have ProMotion, so that's obviously 1 to 120 hertz. That's in the other two models. The fact that you have still the 2 cameras for extra versatility, and the fact that this still hasn't got a price bump, I would still say that iPhone 17, best recommended one across the board. If you really want something new, shiny to use, it's a very different, lovely experience. You don't care about those sacrifices, the iPhone Air. And truly, if you are a pro user, if you need that versatility for the cameras, if you care about that thick, chunky battery, if you really want this to last all day, if you can really benefit from ProRes RAW, if you really want those 12 gigs of RAM, if you want that base storage option, which this now comes at 256 gigs, if you want that 2 terabyte version, which this offers, you obviously have to pay for it. That's who the Pro is for. And obviously, if you are a big sucker for the color of orange, you got stuck with one of the Pro models this year. So I hope you enjoyed my review. I hope you enjoyed my actual time with it. For most people, if you just grab the 256 gig option, and then if you are shooting, say like ProRes, you can attach like an external SSD. So that is $11.99 or $17.49 Canadian. And before we finish, I mentioned obviously about the battery lot, but it also has an increased battery charging speeds now. So up to 40 watts wired. So you can go from 0 to 50 in around like 20 minutes. That's another big thing that I've noticed. But if you already own the 16 Pro Max and can live without those little additions, those little upgrades, honestly, I still think this is a great device. These will honestly be cheaper. You can get them on discount even. I think most of you can skip the upgrade this year, and I think, this is just me projecting, Apple is kind of teasing us with the iPhone Air. This form factor, I do believe, I've seen some like leaks and rumors already, that we will be getting some sort of folding device. So you can imagine the iPhone Air, like 2 of these stacked together, and that will be folding. Don't blame me if it doesn't happen, but yeah, that has been my iPhone 17 Pro Max review. Thanks again to everyone that has messaged me about this colorway. Honestly means a lot. In the end, I am super stoked we got an orange iPhone. This will live on my orange tech wall till that no longer exists. So hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I'll catch you in one of my next ones. Peace.